Now, with regards to our topic, the Holy Zohar in the Tikkunim says a very interesting thing. On page Kuf Samach Vav, Rabbi Shimon says, "Ois to those people that leave the study of Torah," which says about it that you take from the Eitz HaChaim, which are their laws, and if you eat from it, then you'll live forever. He says that Adam Rishon understood very quickly in Gan Eden that there are two pathways to go through this world. One pathway is the pathway of purifying yourself. You have to give up on this physical world and go to come close to Hashem. And then you receive a lot of power from holiness. But you have to give away everything in this whole world. And there's another way. There's another pathway, and that's to enjoy this world and to find technical tricks how to force the upper forces to give you shefa. I'm not asking in a very nice way, in a kind way, that I should be able to receive power from above. Now, what is it that a Jew asks for? A Jew asks to become holy, to be able to go up, to be able to have intelligence, to understand the Torah, to have physical health, that he should be able to serve Hashem. These are positive things to ask for. But there's another way that a person could do all the evil things in the whole world. And he learns tricks, technical tricks. Like the Rubik's Cube. So, when I was young, I was in the army, and someone brought me this Rubik's Cube, and I tried by myself, and I couldn't figure it out. I tried for a few days, and I couldn't do it. Someone taught me that technical trick, and in a few minutes I was able to do it. It's not a trick once you know how to do it, but if you try to figure it out by yourself, it's very difficult. Now, in holiness, when you know a technical trick, in a few seconds you could do it. If you get a computer, for example, in the computer you know how to do all sorts of different things. You know how to go all sorts of different files. You go from here and go from there, do it like this or like that in the computer, but you don't know how it works. You don't know what happens inside the computer. What does it make a difference? You know the technical trick of how to get it done. Same thing is here. You're saying all sorts of different shameless, you're saying names of holiness. You don't know what it's doing, but it's affecting. You know that it has an effect on the world, on the physical world. And with the power of these shameless that you're saying, you can get to all sorts of different places, all sorts of things. So it seems like you have a simple, easy way. You could do all the chas v'shalom, all the horrible, evil things in the whole world, and you get all the powers that you want. And there's a tremendous, tremendous Yetzer Hara. And Adam Rishon fell into this Yetzer Hara. And this is called Tarfei Dilan, the leaves of the tree. Why do I have to deal with making myself holy? I can do whatever I want in the world, chas v'shalom. And I learn tricks of how to bring down Shef into this world. The Zohar says that this is the main enticement that the snake entices people. And now we see on the street that this whole world, like all the Yetzer Hara that people have, it's such a low type of Yetzer Hara because the people are so small nowadays. People have no power to even lift up their nose from the desires that they have. A child from 3 or 4, the mother puts him in front of a TV and he sees all sorts of disgusting things, all sorts of tumah from the whole world. He sees all of your bad thing in the whole world. It's very hard for him to come to holiness. He doesn't have any shmiras anayim. He doesn't watch his eyes, doesn't watch his ears. From when he was a child, they give him tumah from when he's young, and he's very trapped inside this. So what's left for the klipa? What does he have to do? He gives him a little bit of shefa, tiny drops of shefa, tiny drops of interest or exciting things. It used to be something very powerful. The tumah, the Yetzer Hara. The Yetzer Hara for the Avodah Zarah were technical tricks of how to affect the creation in a very intense way. When Noach said there's going to be a mabul soon, there's going to be a flood, so everyone else said there was no way it could be a flood We're in charge of all the angels. We know how to rule over all the angels and make them do whatever we want. So Hashem had to switch all the angels, and He switched the angel of fire for the angel of water and the angel of water for the angel of fire, so that the people would not be able to put oaths on the angels anymore to cause them to do whatever they want. All the earlier generations, Dor Enosh and the Dor where they built the Tower of Babel, from the age of 3 they knew they knew the books of practical Kabbalah, backwards and forwards. And then Hashem uprooted them from this world and from the world to come. This is what it means, motamut, that you're going to die in this world and in the world to come. Now this sin, the sin of practical Kabbalah, of doing practical Kabbalah, is what caused the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash. The whole idea that people used to serve the Asherah tree and the Baal and all the different types of Avodah Zarah, they were technical tricks of how to get shefa from above, influence from above, without the necessity of making oneself holy. And they succeeded in doing this. Eliyahu came up, challenged the priests of Baal. He laughed at them, and they were poking themselves with knives and doing all sorts of things to get their sacrifice offered up. And they were doing all sorts of things to try to affect the world and bring effect into the world. Now nowadays we make a joke out of all the avodah they used to do there, what they're bowing down to trees. It's a big joke for us. But a long time ago, you see that everyone ran after it. It was something very serious. Everyone ran after it. Look at the generation where there was the first Beis HaMikdash, the second Beis HaMikdash. How many people actually served Hashem, especially in the first Beis HaMikdash? They did the 3 big averos, Gilrai, Shvichus Damim, and Avodah Zarah. You see that the Beis HaMikdash is around, and could you imagine someone would think of doing Avodah Zarah? Does it make any sense? And the Beis HaMikdash was around, and they did Avodah Zarah. Not only did they do Avodah Zarah, they put Avodah Zarah into the Beis HaMikdash, and they killed all the Kohanim. And there was one Kohen left from all of them. They killed them all. And this is what caused the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash. And the Jewish people were exiled to the rest of the outside of Israel, and we didn't listen to any prophets at that time. They told us to do tshuva. The prophets told us to do tshuva. It says the curse is that if we don't do tshuva, then the skies will not give the rain. What people answered is they said, we are in charge of those. We can tell them, the people that are in charge of rain, what to do. We'll force them to bring down rain. And Hashem will do it. Hashem will listen to us. That's what they said. So Hashem switched the names of the angels and their purpose and their jobs, and He destroyed the Beis HaMikdash, and we went into Golus. And this is also the sin of Adam Rishon, that the snake enticed us in eating this tree, and caused death to come into this world. What did the snake say to the Adam Rishon? He said, you're going to be like Hashem. I'm going to give you power. You're going to be like Hashem. I'm going to give you power to do whatever you want. See what's going to be with you. A lot of times it happens that something opens up for a person. Sometimes even bad things like a pigua. Pigua happens, and all sorts of people get all sorts of asagas, spiritual perceptions. Some very intense things happens, and all of a sudden it opens up a pipeline. A child, for example, has a tremendous vision. He can see from one end of the world to the next. Once he's born, the pipeline is closed. Sometimes things happen that these pipelines get opened up. But if it doesn't come in a proper way, all these asagas, all these perceptions will destroy him and bring him either into niyuf or into desire for money, or desire for women, or desire for money. If you get married, you have to have sheva brachas, you have to take care of her, you have to buy her a house, you have to bring her money. It takes a whole lifetime. But if a person does niyuf, then there's no calculation. You just go for a moment and then you leave. It's a very easy life, without any obligations, without any calculations. This is the same thing as practical Kabbalah. To have an easy life, you don't have to make yourself holy. You pay no attention to the purpose. You just do whatever you want and then go on to the next thing. Same thing with money. Money also. Some people work very hard before they make the money. When a person gets used to making money easily, a person finds a very easy way of having a little stand. He makes money very easily. It's very hard for him to go back to working very hard. I'll always remember, when I was here, I used to make so much money. It's a thing that ruins a person. When a person gets easy money, it ruins him. When bad things happen to a person like that, he could just look at it, get his money to fix all sorts of things. His life becomes very easy. There are billions of dollars that actually go in Israel to practical Kabbalah, to getting what people want done. Hashem says to us that instead we have to be simple. We shouldn't deal with hidden secrets, things that we shouldn't be learning, things that we can't be learning. It's better not to deal with any of those things at all. Now there is a certain part or type of practical Kabbalah which is less dangerous, and there are some ways that are permissible. We've seen that the great rabbis of the different generations have used this system, and this is Kabbalah of combination of letters, tzirufim it's called. Now the one who developed this system very much was Rav Abel Balafia, and also Rav Yitzchak Midiminako and Rav Yosef Jigatila. They were great people. And the Sefer Malchus, which is also a very big book in this topic. Yitzchak Midiminako, he reached Morocco, and he was buried there. And that area, he affected the people a lot, and they settled a lot of people started learning and practicing these tzirufim, this method of tzirufim, which is a method that kind of resembles, in a way, the Eastern meditations, where you go over mantras, you go over words over and over again, you play with letters, different types of combination of letters. And we do this over and over again until the active mind affects a person, until he starts speaking in a very prophetic way. The person who reads Rabbi Avraham Avilafia's Sefer, you see that it's human mind doesn't really work like that. Something above human mind. And here he gives a description of how to do it. What's very interesting about this is that the Rashba put him in excommunicated him, and in the end, Rabbi Avraham died alone, separate from all of the Jewish people, because of the chiyum that the Rashba put on him, the excommunication the Rashba put on him. And if it weren't for the Sefer Seder Adoros and Shem HaGedolim of the Chida, the Holy Chida, Rabbi Avraham Avilafia would have been forgotten from the Jewish people. Rabbi Avilafia was a very, very intense person with his abilities, and he also thought that he was going to bring the redemption. Like Rabbi Shlomo Melcho, he wanted to meet up with the Pope. Rabbi Shlomo Melcho, something very interesting happened with him. Sorry, with Rabbi Avilafia, one of the reasons why they didn't kill him right away was that they trapped him, but he said there was going to be a very big earthquake at a certain date, and that's exactly what happened. Exactly the day that he said there would be an earthquake, many people died, even hundreds of thousands. But those people that listened to him didn't die. So Rabbi Avilafia sent to the Pope a message that he was coming to convert him. Nothing more, nothing less. Coming to convert him. I mean, it wasn't the Pope of today. This is the Pope from a long time ago who had a very, very powerful political power. A lot of political power. There's a story called The Walk to Canosso, where one of the big kings went to ask forgiveness from the Pope. He had tremendous political power. And Rav Moshe sent him a message saying that he's coming to convert him. And the Pope sent back that when you step into the gates, they will chop off your head. Just take that into account. And Rav Moshe wrote back saying that you're going to come and you won't touch me. And came riding in a white horse. And just as he stepped in, the guards grabbed him. And as they were about to kill him, a message came that the Pope died from a heart attack. And the guards were shocked and they let him go. They don't want to die also. He was a very special person. And in the end of the day, the Holy Chida writes that the Chayat and the Hashem Kandila made fun of him like one of the empty people. They made him like. But I saw that one of the great Mekubalim mentioned him in his Sefer and used his methods. Now, who this great rabbi was, they did not know. But nowadays, when we have the DBS database system, Torah database system, you could search anything. You could search few words from one sefer, and you could see them where it shows in where it turns up in others from, and you could know who's first. So we see large copies of the books of Rabbi Avilafia in the Pardes Rimonim, Sefer Pardes Rimonim of Ramak. And we see the Ramak used these systems. And I'm going to read to you what he writes in Pardes Rimonim of the Ramak. He explains there that when you want to mention the holy name, now this is a quote from the Sefer of Rabbi Avilafia called Orasecha, and this is a quote from in Pardes Rimonim. When you want to mention Hashem's name, you should dress yourself up and put yourself in a place that no one else will hear you. And you should purify your heart from any type of thought in this world, and you should imagine that your soul will leave your body, and you die in this world and live in the world to come. And attach yourself to the etc., all sorts of different things. And then he shows you how to do the breathing system, and this is a very intense thing. Now, when you start mentioning the names, you should face the east with clean and white clothes, with tefillin on your head and with talis. And then he explains how to move your head and how to breathe. And then he says like this. I'm going to jump a bit. And with all these, when you're finished, if you see a vision in front of you, if you see a form in front of you, you should bow down right away. It seems as if you're bringing down an angel with this thing that you're doing. And if you hear some type of sound and you want to hear what it's saying, you should say, "Speak, Master, for I'm listening. I'm listening. Listen carefully to hear what he's saying." So you see by the way he's writing, by the way Rav Moshe is writing, that it's a very that many of these have been revealed to him. Everything that he's writing is all gematrias. 303, 303, 303. And it goes in this form. He takes two things. He takes the intelligence of the sentence and also the mathematics of this with a combination of letters. That's how he does it. Now in a sefer called Shaarei Zedek, it's not the Shaarei Zedek of Joseph ibn Zagyah. It's a different Shaarei Zedek. Now in the 10th chapter, this Sefer Shaarei Zedek is apparently it was written by Rabbi Shem Tov Sfaradi. And this Sefer is a Sefer that explains this whole system of based of Kabbalah, of Rav Moshe Kabbalah. At the end, there's also a Sefer called Sulma Aliyah from the Rabbi of Yerushalayim a few hundred years ago, at least 200 years ago, which is a shortened version of Abilafia's Sfarim, and it's specifically the practical aspects of it. The way to get to the practical ways of doing what Rav Abilafia says, since he writes in his Sfarim a lot of concepts also. But one of his main things is to teach you how to do what he does. And here in this Sefer, he took all the practical things and he put into one Sefer called the Sulam Aliyah. Now, Shem Sephardi explains how he got to this type of study. And he explains that in the beginning he really wanted to learn Torah. He had a tremendous desire, so he started learning the simple type of learning, the Gemara. And he saw his parents. He wasn't able to learn where he was because his parents really liked him. They took care of him. They wanted to talk to him all the time, or other things. So he went to learn somewhere else. He learned somewhere else, and when he came back, he met some philosopher, but he really didn't feel comfortable with it. He didn't feel until he met somebody that dealt with this Kabbalah. And this person would give him work to do for 2 weeks, meditation, and he would practice it for 2 weeks, and then he would come back and he would give him another work to do for another 2 weeks, and this is how he would develop. And after a few weeks of learning like this, he decided he's going to go till the end, and he's going to do it completely. And he sat for a few days and a few nights, and he dealt with these tzirufim and meditation. And he explains that he tells over that when he got to the third night, he dealt with all sorts of tzirufim and all sorts of kigulim vosios, and all of a sudden the letters got really, really big, and he got tremendous fear inside of him, as if he wasn't in this world at all. He said, right away I fell, and I didn't feel anything, any one of my limbs. It's like my body died, and I was like just a soul. And I heard from inside of me, from my mouth, speech. I heard things, and he was scared. He thought to himself, maybe some kind of craziness went into him, or dibuk. But he hears himself saying, he hears himself speaking, and he's speaking great, amazing, deep things in Torah. After a while, he hears himself speaking, so he gets up and he starts writing what he hears himself saying. So in the morning he gets up and he runs to his rabbi and tells him what happened. And his rabbi said, "Who let you use these names and to do tzirufim with these names? Up until now he was using simple names, and now you're starting to use these very holy names. You're not allowed. Who let you do it?" So he didn't say you're not allowed. He said, "Who let you do it? Do you want to die?" So the Talmud said, "Please give me some type of power, some type of knowledge that I should be able to handle this. I feel like I'm about to go crazy." This is another problem with this topic, is that once you go in, you can go in, but to come out, there's no one that can help you come out of it. No one in this generation can help you come out of it. So the rabbi says this: you should know, there's nothing I could give you that could stop you from getting this. You shouldn't be afraid. Only Hashem could give you the help. If you continue and you're not afraid, then you could get to a level where you could handle yourself, or you'll get to peace or craziness. So in any case, he continued doing these things. And he says that at night time he would learn. Once he was learning, and the light went out, and he looks at the Sefer and he sees there's still light. And you wonder, what is this? They didn't have fluorescent lights back then. If you don't have a light, then it should be dark. He was very shocked. He got up, and wherever he walked, he saw a light was following him. He was shocked. He jumped into the bed. He put his blanket over him, and he still saw there was light. So he figured out that the light was coming from his face. So he went to his rabbi, and he said, "Look, there's light coming out of my face." So the rabbi screamed at him and said, "Why are you dealing with yourself? Why are you dealing with yourself with your own? You should have continued doing these combinations, these tzirufim." This Talmud felt like he was having a tremendous shefa of asagas. Since he had a very strong personality, he was able to stand in this. He was able to write Sfarim, but most other people without proper direction, and so there is no one to properly direct them, could just go crazy and could be ruined from these things. And this would seem to be one of the reasons that the Rashba excommunicated him in that generation, because he was afraid that maybe one or two people would get to a saga, to some type of reception, but 100 out of every one will go crazy totally. So it's better that we should have people doing simple things instead of reaching levels that they're not appropriate for them to reach. So these are the two methods: the practical Kabbalah that we discussed in the beginning, in the first parts of the shiur, which is making oaths on angels. And these things are all, nowadays, they're all messed up, and there's a lot of folklore mixed up inside of it from other countries, other types of religions, and also practical, the Kabbalah, the combinations of letters. We discussed these two types of Kabbalah.